This is a video I've tried so many times to record, but talking about a problem like this on camera is pretty difficult. I'm recording this video to explain how a drug called finasteride has just completely decimated my life. Before I get started with this video, I think it's important to say that everything I'm about to talk about, all the problems, the physical, the mental problems that came in light of taking this drug were all completely new. I'd never suffered anything similar before. I was, perfectly healthy, really sociable person, used to love going out with my friends. And then, post-Finasteride, my life has just changed completely. I started taking the drug when I was 23 on the advice of a doctor to treat a case of hair loss. It came as like a topical solution that you apply morning and night. I was told that it'd take quite a few months to take effect. I gave it about 6 months without seeing any improvement. So I just gave it up completely at that point. Everything was fine at first. I just resumed life as normal really. But after a couple of weeks, everything started to go south pretty quickly. At about 4 a.m. every morning, I started to jolt awake with my heart just racing and pounding through my chest. It was as though I'd just drunk like numerous cups of coffee in a row, but it was just completely instantaneous upon waking. I could not get back to sleep whatsoever, so I would just be led there until it was time to get up. This symptom didn't improve at all, and over the next couple of weeks, more physical symptoms started to manifest. I completely lost my libido. I completely lost all of my sexual function. From morning to night, I was experiencing this intense feeling of stimulation. My body and brain was just constantly in fight or flight mode. My head felt so much pressure, it felt like it was going to explode constantly. My vision and my depth perception became impaired. I was honestly having trouble walking to work. And then when I did eventually get there, I could barely look at my computer screen and make out what I was doing. All of this persisted for months, and during that time period I'd noticed that my facial structure had begun to change, but because I was so preoccupied with everything else, I didn't really give it too much attention. But as the time passed by, it just became more and more apparent that my orbital bones had begun to recede, which made my eyes more sunken in appearance than they had previously. My jawline became narrowed. Honestly, this is something that I didn't believe was even biologically possible, and I denied it for so long, but over time it became so apparent and the changes were just so obvious to me that it was completely undeniable. None of these symptoms improved with time, and especially since last summer, a number of them have gotten much, much worse. I've begun exercising quite a few months prior to last summer just to try and improve my symptoms, which in itself didn't really work. But the exercise would usually help with stress relief at least. But I noticed that lifting weights had gradually become more difficult with each session. As I progressed through each session, I was unable to lift the same quantity of weight that I could in the previous session. And over time, I noticed that I was actually getting weaker. The more I would lift, the weaker I would get. And then through the weeks, my muscles literally began to turn into what I can only describe as mush. When I tried to do cardio, also, I would get this crippling chest pain after running for a matter of minutes. I tried so hard to push through it as well, but no matter how often I ran, no matter how hard I tried, I just could not get any fitter at all. Exercise at this point basically just has the opposite effects of what it's intended to. Even considering all of these physical symptoms I've just described, the cognitive and mental symptoms have been even more devastating to my life. It's become impossible to have an intimate relationship, not just because of the sexual symptoms, but I just have a complete inability to feel a connection to other people. This is the complete opposite of who I was before taking the drug. I used to love going out, I used to love meeting new people, but now I just can't do it. I can't enjoy any nights out with friends. When I do try to socialise, the lack of reward due to the anhedonia just completely illustrates how much I've changed as a person, and it makes the whole thing so much more difficult and so much worse. I just can't reciprocate any of the engagement or enthusiasm in conversation because my brain is just completely incapable of making me feel any happiness. It's reached a point where I just feel like I'm bad company. I am fortunate though to have a group of close friends that I stay in regular contact with, because without them I'd be completely isolated, and I am very, very grateful for their support. I saw quite a few doctors after stopping the drug, told them exactly what was happening. I had a few blood tests done that showed things like high prolactin, high cortisol as well, but because there's so little research into the condition, no doctor is likely to accept anything that you're telling them. All the doctors I did see told me that they'd never encountered anyone with similar experiences. They either had nothing to offer or insinuated that my symptoms were psychological. It's a massive problem that most patients have the exact same experience that I've had, in that they're suffering these serious onset symptoms and they're just not met with any recognition from medical professionals. Most of these symptoms are really hard to talk about because there's a lot of stigma around sexual and mental health. You know, it's one thing to be experiencing these symptoms in the first place, but to not be believed and to not be validated when your body is literally falling apart in front of your eyes is a tragedy. At the very least, a little bit of awareness would let other people know that this syndrome is happening. Everybody deserves the right to make an informed choice about risking what is essentially every aspect of their health, because I don't think anybody on earth would take this drug in the knowledge that it has the potential to cause what it has done to me and to so many other people. After suffering with all of this for so long, I discovered a group of other patients who were, experiencing all the same symptoms as me, and I learned that I wasn't unique. I just thought it was incredible that so many of us had suffered this same pattern of experiencing a crash post cessation of a drug, followed by an onset of these, debilitating symptoms. Some people are really severe cases from taking just a single pill. I fully accept that most people take this drug without any problem, but it's so important that people and doctors recognise what people are going through, because lives are being ruined. I've honestly met some great people in the last 2 years. It's the only positive to come out of this, and not one of the people I've met deserves to go through what they are doing day to day. Trying to cope with this disease is so isolating. I'm sat here now, 25 years old, in what's supposed to be the prime of my life. I have no libido, no sexual function, no capacity to exercise. I literally have the body of a man 3 times my age. I can't do anything I enjoy. I cannot remember the last time that I looked forward to anything. I'm literally just existing on a daily basis. I haven't lived in so long. Every day it's just wake up and fight to see the next one. Think every day about how what was a happy life has just been completely decimated by a drug I was told was completely safe to take. This is one of the most cruel conditions I've ever come across, and not something I ever thought was possible. It's not alright that people are forced to either suffer in silence or be patronised by medical professionals who don't accept the validity of the disease. It's so important to me that the truth of this becomes public. There needs to be more research, there needs to be more education, because honestly, this can happen to anyone, and it will happen to more people. I have no idea what the coming years are going to look like for me, because right now it's impossible to envision anything even close to a normal future. The only thing that I and other patients who suffer from this disease can do is wait and hope that something changes. And I will, and I know a lot of other patients will do everything we can to try and raise awareness, to try and instigate research, and I really hope that this video contributes to that at least somewhat, because right now the prospects are very slim and it's difficult to accept. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video.